Camilla, it feels very different from 2016. If we remember when Trump 1.0 came to the world, America was a country hugely divided. I remember watching the 2016 inauguration speech where he spoke about American carnage, and there was now a war about civilization, and it was quite dark, and it had a different mood. And all the briefing about his inauguration now, and we're going to hear a little bit about the event he had last night, which was sort of a pre-event and a leadership event where he made a speech, is about this revolution of common sense and also this optimism about the future. And one thing, Camilla, I think you and I have really noticed. Do we remember our election last year when Keir Starmer started and the tone that was struck by Keir Starmer?
Wasn't quite as punchy, was it? No.
By Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, where you have from Donald Trump all the things he's going to do really rapidly, really going to fulfill things, whether that's, as you say, around the world, Israel, Hamas, Ukraine, Russia. He's going to make executive orders about immigration. He said, I'm going to slash taxes. I'm going to protect jobs via tariffs. I'm going to do all these things. His tone is, I always think, how you should start a presidency, a government after you've won an election. Where Trump has got it right is where Starmer got it wrong.
Let's have a listen to what happened at the rally he held the night before the inauguration.
We won. Today I spoke with Tim Cook of Apple. He said they're going to make a massive investment in the United States because of our big election win. And as of today, TikTok is back. Perhaps most beautiful of all, this week we achieved an epic ceasefire agreement as a first step toward lasting peace in the Middle East. But starting tomorrow, I will act with historic speed and strength and fix every single crisis facing our country. We have to do it. Every radical and foolish executive order of the Biden administration will be repealed within hours of when I take the oath of office. Somebody said yesterday, sir, don't sign so many in one day. Let's do it over a period of weeks. I said, like hell, we're going to do it over weeks. We're going to sign them at the beginning. By the time the sun sets tomorrow evening, the invasion of our borders will have come to a halt, and all the illegal border trespassers will in some form or another be on their way back home. We're going to also slash something else, the waste in our bloated federal bureaucracy. We will create the new Department of Government Efficiency, headed by a gentleman named Elon Musk, who's here someplace. I don't know where the hell he is. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What a great victory for everybody. Thank you, America. Thank you very much.
The thing about him, Kamal, I suppose the biggest disaster for him would be to be accused of being all talk and no trousers, all talk and no action. And what's refreshing, like him or loathe him, is at least he says exactly what he's going to do. We have sat in this podcast quite often and kind of opined about the state of Labour, opined about the state of the Conservatives, because there's a lot of rhetoric going on, but no actual sort of policies, no vision, no clear, this is what I stand for. I mean, what the guy is doing within the first minutes of the presidency 2.0 is saying, I want to have a total bonfire of Bidenism. Make no mistake, I do not agree with the last 4 years. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to have my mates Elon and Robert Kennedy Jr. and others, J.D. Vance, joining me in this effort to completely turn things around. And I think we might laugh. You sort of might have an inward chuckle at the brazen nature of this sort of perma-tanned blonde bombshell. But the electorate in America is clearly just saying, I just want somebody to do what they say. And by the way, if it means that I end up being richer in the process, then I'm all for it. Sorry to name drop, I was speaking to Giles Brandreth, who had been in America a couple of weeks ago, and one Republican voter had said to him, which I think is a good phrase, you know, I'm not voting for somebody I want to be my son-in-law. I'm voting for a president here. So I'm putting aside some of the immorality, the amorality, because I want to elect a doer. And they feel that over the past 4 years, Biden has done very little beyond making gaffes, toddling around stages, at times seemingly almost falling off them, and not having a grip on the world order. And that's what we expect a president to have. We expect them to lead from the front.
It's amazing how much Donald Trump's charisma means that he can actually change his mind on a sixpence and no one seems to really notice. This was a guy who said that TikTok was an absolute outrage
Yes.
and was a disgrace. And now he's the guy who's saving TikTok for Americans. TikTok went dark over the weekend after Congress put through, we should get rid of this app because of its connections to China. Trump used to support that. It goes through under the Biden presidency. It goes dark in the weekend before Trump becomes the president. And the president Trump, reverses that and TikTok's back.
Freedom of speech, innit?
Who is the first? One of the first calls that Donald Trump made over the weekend was to Xi Jinping, China's leader, after saying China was the biggest threat to the global order. What I find fascinating about Trump, Biden left the economy with very strong growth, very strong consumer spending, but he got no thanks for it. And I think where Trump has really understood where the American electorate is this two things. The idea of overreach by progressive diversity, equity and inclusion policies. This idea, one of the first executive orders that Biden put in place when he became president in 2020 was around what was described as gender discrimination, meaning that nearly all spaces you could challenge as being open to both sexes. But Trump's first executive order has got rid of that for all federal places. And the second thing was inflation, prices. Biden failed on inflation. People's prices were going up. And famously, J.D. Vance said, vote for Trump, get cheaper eggs.
Simple message.
But Camilla, let's have a little bet now. Biden's policies on slashing taxes, increasing tariffs, this huge pro-growth energy he's putting into the American economy will mean there will be inflation and eggs, I imagine, will get more expensive. What is fascinating about Trump, which he has achieved, is I imagine people won't really care because of his tone,
Yes.
his approach. He has this idea of, I love my country, I love my voters. And people respond positively to that.
Look, there may be a degree of smoke and mirrors going on here. I totally agree with you that one of this man's strengths is his total unpredictability, built on the fact that he seems to change his mind according to the direction that the wind is blowing in. Okay, but overall there is this message which I think is a consistent one. Patriotism, faith, family, protectionism, which is appealing to a huge amount of middle America, certainly. All of that. An end to wokery, which even people on the left support, actually. There's plenty of people on the left that think that the Rubicon has been crossed.
Overreach, yeah.
The overreach is distressing to people. And, you know, I think back to that rally I attended in Pittsburgh. What united those people? And I'm talking about, remember I spoke to people literally...
Yeah, you were there, weren't you, to cover, yes.
Construction workers in hard hats, men in suits, black women, glamorous Southern belles. You know, there was such a broad range of people there, immigrants, and they all said the same thing. Regardless of what you've just cited about the US economy under Biden, they all had a perception that they would be richer under Trump, and they were all united in their condemnation of what they have regarded as an open door policy to illegal migration. So even the immigrants were saying, I came here legally, you shouldn't be allowed to come here illegally, therefore I support Trump because I am clear that he is going to crack down on this issue that concerns me. So it was kind of simple. It was a straightforward reaction to what his offer is.
I think on immigration, he has to act there and will do. He's likely to put in emergency powers, a state of emergency. Tom Homan, who's the new border czar, will be able to do a lot of work, particularly at the Mexico border, where there are some of the biggest problems. There will definitely be action there. But already, if you look at Elon Musk, who we heard speaking a bit there, saying about this start of this new American century will be for centuries, in fact. Elon Musk came in saying he's going to cut $2 billion from the federal budget by cutting waste. That's the big Doge project that him and Vivek Ramaswamy, who's not quite right.
Vivek Ramaswamy,
that him and Vivek Ramaswamy have been put in charge of. Started with this $2 billion target. Elon Musk himself has already said probably more like $1 billion. But Camilla, this is not to say for a moment that Trump has not, injected great positivity into America. I'm just interested in the fact that he's given absolute permission to be able to make some statements and then pull back from them. Just finally, 2016, there was real tension in America because we'd never experienced anything like Donald Trump before. 2020, we had riots and Donald Trump not saying that the election should be trusted. At least now, he has brought down the rhetoric.
Yes.
He has definitely been much more what you might traditionally have called statesmanlike. And on Israel, Hamas, if it wasn't for Donald Trump, we would not be seeing the remarkable scenes we've seen over the weekend of the freeing of at least the start of those hostages taken on the appalling day of October the 7th, and a hope that the bombardment of Gaza that has followed can also come to an end.
It does go to show that a week is a long time in politics, not just in the UK, but across the pond, with how his fortunes have changed. I spoke to the guy that helped to orchestrate the 2016 and 2020 campaigns that had actually moved away from Trump because of the January 6th riots. Remember, there was that period where his name was mud.
Yeah, no one could imagine him ever coming back.
No, there was no coming back from it. I mean, this was kind of like an aberration of democracy, and now there he is. And yeah, you're right to say that the timing of the ceasefire, the fact that he can take credit for something so momentous, and the juxtaposition of those scenes, the kind of jubilant Republican scenes in Washington, D.C., and then the images of those three young women being returned to their families, and the fact that he can take credit for that. I mean, the timing for him is kind of perfect. Whether he is in line to win a Nobel Peace Prize like Piers Morgan suggested with us on Friday remains to be seen. But doesn't it make you quite excited, regardless of what you think of him journalistically? Like, this guy makes headlines, and I don't want to revel, it's not all about the news, but let's be honest, our job has got 1,000 times more interesting over the next 4 years because he's in power.
I tell you whose job has got 1,000 times more difficult. That's the Democrats in America, who are absolutely cratered. There's no voice from the Democrats at the moment in America. And I think it has become 1,000 times more difficult for any left-leaning government around the world. Keir Starmer, who was trying to brief at the weekend again about his new special super-duper relationship with Donald Trump.
As Sadiq Khan suggests that Donald Trump's second term in the White House is going to spark a resurgence of fascism.
You just feel
London
yourself...
Mayor, read the room, for goodness sake.
It makes it far harder for the left, or however they're going to describe themselves, to make a coherent message about what it is they're able to do that the right isn't able to do. All the noise, you're quite right, for the next 4 years is going to be about Donald Trump and his relationship with every world leader. And it is going to be very, very difficult for the UK government to navigate that world over the next 3 to 4 years.